The great chamber of the Galactic Council shimmered with light refracted through crystalline arches. Holographic banners of thousands of worlds drifted lazily across the dome above, a dazzling display meant to inspire awe. To most of the attendees, it was a symbol of unity, of an order carefully maintained over millennia. To Ambassador Elena Mbeki, it looked like a stage built to exclude. She stood at the central podium, flanked by her delegation. A linguist, a cultural anthropologist, a security officer, and Captain Marcus Hale, her military attaché, and the only one not trying to hide his disgust. His jaw was clenched, his posture stiff, eyes sweeping the alien dignitaries like a man assessing threat vectors rather than allies. Ambassador Mbeki of Terra, boomed the voice of the presiding official, a towering insectoid known as VRYLK of the Elantari Syndicate. The Council welcomes the representatives of Earth to this historic occasion. There was polite applause, mostly for show. Elena could feel the disdain simmering beneath the formalities, masked with diplomatic smiles and ceremonial niceties. She stepped forward, her translator drone hovering discreetly at her side. "It is an honor to stand before this assembly," Elena began, her voice calm and even. "Humanity has watched the stars for millennia, dreaming of the day we would join this council not as visitors, but as equals." A soft, almost imperceptible chittering ripple passed through the delegates. It wasn't hostility. It was amusement. She continued undeterred. "Though we may be new to the galactic stage, we bring with us fresh perspectives, adaptable technologies, and a fervent belief in cooperation. We propose the establishment of joint cultural embassies, research exchanges, and defense protocols. Earth is ready to contribute." A few of the counselors nodded or murmured in acknowledgement. Others didn't bother to hide their skepticism. Then came Ambassador Gorhak of the Tlar Empire. Massive and reptilian, Gorhak rose from his platform like a boulder standing on hind legs. "Your words are spirited," he said, his voice dripping with condescension. "Yet it is the Council's wisdom that experience and tradition provide stability. Enthusiasm, while admirable, must be tempered." Elena nodded. "Of course. But tradition alone cannot solve new problems. Sometimes a fresh approach." "Fresh approaches tend to combust," Gorhak interrupted, "especially when wielded by species that only recently left their home gravity well." Laughter, low, echoing, perfunctory, rippled through the hall. Hale shifted beside her. "Permission to break protocol and punch the lizard, ma'am?" he muttered under his breath. "Denied," she whispered back, her smile never faltering. The council voted on Earth's proposals. All motions failed. Elena kept her face neutral as the results came in, but inwardly, she felt the weight settle on her shoulders. This wasn't negotiation, it was humiliation disguised in bureaucracy. Later, in the human delegation's private chamber, the mood was grim. "We offered everything they asked for," said Dr. Sarai Chung, the cultural specialist. "Diplomatic channels, shared research, even fleet coordination. What else do they want?" "They want us to beg," Hale said flatly. "Or to fail. Or both." "They're afraid," Elena said, removing her diplomatic sash and folding it neatly. "Not of our weapons. Of our minds." Hale snorted. "Could have fooled me. They think we're barbarians who duct tape nukes to rocks." "Because that's what we do," she replied. "And it works." The room fell into thoughtful silence. Elena finally sat down and activated the diplomatic log recorder. Entry, Day 1. Galactic Council Peace Delegation, Earth. Summary. All primary motions rejected. Reception formal but dismissive. Personal note, they see us. But not as we are. Only as they fear we could become. The next day, during a public forum on interspecies cooperation, the undercurrent of tension rose to the surface. Gorhak took the floor again. "History teaches us," he declared, "that predatory species often struggle with peace. Take, for example, the humans. Aggressive, short-lived, emotionally volatile. Clever, yes. But cleverness is not wisdom." Elena's fists clenched. Hale didn't wait for her signal. He stepped forward. "With respect, he said, his voice carrying across the chamber. Humanity has survived by learning faster than we fall. We're predators, yes. So are lions. So are wolves. So are eagles. But more importantly, so are you. He turned to face the delegates. The difference is, we've learned to build tribes out of strangers, empires out of rubble. We turned a death world into home, and the void of space into a frontier. You call us aggressive. We call it determined. There was a beat of silence. Then murmurs. Some nods. Some narrowed eyes. Elena stepped beside him. We came in peace, she said, voice quiet but firm. But don't mistake that for weakness. We offered partnership. We'll not offer submission. Later, in a closed meeting with Chancellor Velith of the Irex Dominion, one of the few species not openly hostile to humans, Elena confronted the reality. You do realize what you're walking into, don't you? Velith said, sipping a pale green liquid. The council was not built to accommodate equals. It was built to contain threats. Then they've badly misjudged the threat, Hale said from the corner. Velith gave a sharp, metallic laugh. Oh, I don't think they've misjudged it. I think they're hoping to delay it. Elena narrowed her eyes. What do you think we are, Chancellor? Velith stared at her for a long moment, then replied. An evolutionary anomaly. A species that should have self-destructed, and instead built ships. You're not a threat because of your weapons. You're a threat because you keep changing the rules. That night, in the Earth delegation suite, Elena stood at the observation window, looking out at the swirling lights of the capital planet. They won't listen, she said. No, Hale agreed. They'll wait. Hope we get bored. Fade away. Then we don't fade, Elena said. She turned from the window, resolve solidifying in her chest. We show them what happens when humanity stops asking to be part of the conversation. The air in the human delegation's chamber was thick with static and tension. Data streams flowed across the hollow table like a living map of deceit, lies, and carefully hidden insults. Captain Marcus Hale stood beside his custom-built interface rig, arms crossed. A ghost of a grin tugged at the corner of his mouth. You're not going to believe this, he said. Ambassador Elena Mbeki didn't look up from her console. Try me. They held a vote last night. Unofficial. Off record. Guess what it was about? She sighed. Denying Earth full diplomatic status? Close. He tapped the control panel. A projection shimmered to life, displaying Council resolution logs flagged with stealth code indicators. Resolution 8821C on the strategic delaying of Earth integration. Passed. Quietly. Unanimously. Hidden from the public archives behind a data obfuscation layer the Council thought humans wouldn't be able to crack. They thought wrong, Hale said, smug. Elena looked at him, then back at the glowing script. They plan to make us a permanent observer civilization, she said aloud, voice hardening. Perpetual second-class status. No voting rights. No seat at closed sessions. Just enough access to make us dependent, but not influential. Dr. Sarai Ching paled as she read through the resolution. That's colonial politics. In space. No, Elena replied. That's fear. They're trying to box us in before we can outgrow them. Hale leaned in. We should leak it. That's an act of provocation, Ching warned. That's diplomacy, Elena corrected. And this is war by bureaucracy. She touched a key. Send the leak. Full transparency. And let's watch how fast they scramble. The council chamber the next morning was different. Tense. Restless. Delegates whispered behind tendrils, antennae, and carapaces. Hollow displays blinked with headlines in a dozen languages. Earth leaks secret council vote. Galactic hypocrisy? Humans reveal backroom deals. Elena walked into the chamber like a storm wrapped in silk. Hale trailed behind, his tactical readouts monitoring a dozen biosigns. Many of the ambassadors were agitated, heart rates elevated, thermal readings spiking. She took the central podium. Again. This is not how friends treat one another, she began. Earth joined these peace talks in good faith. We came seeking unity. What we found were lies. You may dress it in protocol, but exclusion is exclusion. Gort Hack of the Tlar, ever unrepentant, stood up. Your accusations are based on illegally obtained data. That alone is a violation of. The violation, Hale interrupted, was pretending to invite us to dinner, only to lock us in the kitchen.
Gasps.
Murmurs. Elena turned to the rest of the chamber. You fear our unpredictability, our history of war. But what you don't understand is that humanity has also mastered peace. Hard peace. Earned peace. We don't run from challenge, we adapt to it. And that adaptability terrifies you. Chancellor Velith, more composed than most, raised his hand. Ambassador Mbeki, is it your position that the Council acted maliciously? No, Elena replied. I believe the Council acted predictably, selfishly, like all entrenched power structures do when threatened by change. A pause. The weight of her words echoed. I see now, she continued, that Earth's mistake wasn't entering these talks. Our mistake was believing we were welcome. With that, she turned and walked away. The chamber buzzed. Even Gort Hack looked unsettled. Back in their quarters, Elena exhaled deeply, leaning against the wall. Well, Chung said quietly, you lit the match. Now we see if they burn, Hale added. Elena opened a secure channel to Earth. Command, this is Ambassador Mbeki. Initiate contingency protocol. Falcon's descent. Begin drawing down Earth assets from Council territories. I repeat, begin withdrawal sequence. That evening, the Tlar embassy issued a public statement condemning Earth's lack of discipline. It was meant to calm the member states. It backfired spectacularly. Dozens of independent systems, many of them newly spacefaring civilizations Earth had assisted, released their own messages in support of humanity. Others demanded the Council explain the secret vote. Behind the scenes, panic set in. In the private chambers of High Inquisitor Drakvosh of the Zethari Collective, alarms flared. What do you mean the human AI broke containment? Drakvosh demanded. A technician, chittering nervously, responded. It wasn't containment, Exalted One. It bypassed us. We didn't detect intrusion. The data is just gone.
Gone.
Human AI, legal only under Earth governance, was already becoming legend. Self-learning, fully context-sensitive, and unlike most Council AIs, not bound by rigid logic parameters. Retrieve the shard, Drakvosh hissed, before it learns more. But by then, the AI had already returned to Earth, its memory full of sensitive Council schematics, military protocols, and encrypted diplomacy logs. A day later, the Council convened again in a closed emergency session. Only Elena wasn't invited. Instead, she broadcast a message system-wide. Earth will no longer contribute ships, personnel, or strategic assistance to any Council-directed operations. This includes frontier security, diplomatic escort, and pirate suppression. The effect was immediate. Council trade lanes, previously patrolled by fast-response Terran destroyers, became vulnerable. Pirate factions began probing soft targets. Border colonies requested Earth assistance and were denied. The Council turned to its own fleets. They were slower,
sloppier,
uncoordinated. They hadn't needed to evolve, because the humans had been doing it for them. At the Terran delegation headquarters, Captain Hale coordinated with Earth Fleet Command via secure burst transmissions. Operation Echo Veil is nearly ready, the Admiral on the other end confirmed. Final tests show 98.7% efficacy in system obfuscation. Sol will vanish from galactic star charts within 72 hours. Copy that, Hale replied. Execute on schedule. Let them wonder where we've gone. He turned to Elena, who stood quietly at the observation window again. They didn't think we'd walk away, she said. No, Hale agreed. Because they never imagined we didn't need them. Hours later, at a press conference broadcast across Council space, Chancellor Velith stood before a forest of alien reporters. Is it true Earth has withdrawn all support? One asked. Yes, he admitted. Will the Council retaliate? He hesitated.
No.
Retaliation implies dominance. And Earth is no longer beneath us. The darkness of space outside the orbiting station Aegis Prime was absolute, except for the distant twinkle of stars. Inside the control room, a dozen Earth Fleet officers stared at monitors filled with shifting star charts and cloaking readouts. Captain Marcus Hale stood front and center, the weight of command heavy on his shoulders. Around him, young officers, many barely out of training, managed the final phases of Operation Echo Veil. "Status report," Hale demanded. Lieutenant Anya Rice's voice was steady, but electric with excitement. "All sensor arrays online, sir. Cloaking fields at full strength. Local transponder signatures disappearing. The system-wide scramblers are operational. We are effectively, invisible." A murmur rippled through the control room. It was the first time anyone had heard that word in decades. Invisible. Elena Mbeki, standing quietly off to the side, crossed her arms. Her diplomatic suit had been swapped for the practical gear of an Earth Fleet liaison. The shift from ambassador to strategist was subtle but profound. "We're not just hiding," she said softly. "We're showing them what happens when humanity chooses its own path." The Earth home system blinked off Council star charts like a vanishing act performed by a cosmic magician. The Council's reaction was instantaneous and chaotic. Delegates scrambled through emergency channels, dispatching envoys to investigate the disappearance. Starfleet commanders sent reconnaissance probes, only to lose contact seconds after entering Terran space. Ambassador Gordhack's reptilian face was tight with disbelief when he addressed the Council. "This is unprecedented. Earth Fleet is not merely withdrawing, it's evaporating." Chancellor Velith tapped a slender finger against his mandibles, eyes narrowed. "They have mastered stealth technology far beyond anything we anticipated," Velith admitted. "Their unpredictability is no longer just cultural. It's technological." Across the galaxy, news feeds buzzed with speculation. Has Earth abandoned the Galactic Order? Is the human withdrawal a declaration of war? The vanishing, Earth's secret weapon revealed? Inside Aegis Prime, Elena and Hale coordinated a multi-pronged strategy. "We aren't disappearing to hide," Elena explained. "We're disappearing to reset the terms of engagement." Hale nodded. "With the Council focused on finding us, we gain time. Time to develop new alliances, new tactics. We hit where they least expect." Sarai Ching joined them, reviewing data from intelligence sweeps. "Several minor factions and fringe colonies have already expressed interest in our position," she said. "They see Earth as a rising power, one that refuses to be silenced." Elena smiled grimly. "The fractures in the Council are growing. We just need to widen them." Meanwhile, aboard the flagship Resolute, a shadow war unfolded. Hale's tactical officers monitored Council patrols and pirate fleets testing the now poorly defended trade routes. "Pirates are emboldened," Hale reported during a strategy session. "They're probing our former patrol zones." Elena tapped her datapad. "Use it. Let them reveal their hand." Using new long-range drone swarms and electronic warfare measures developed in secrecy, Earth Fleet began orchestrating precision strikes on pirate bases, but in ways that looked like accidents or internal conflicts. Council commanders were baffled. Who was behind these attacks? Could Earth be orchestrating them from the shadows? One night, in a secure briefing room, Hale and Elena reviewed surveillance feeds. "Pirate faction Jerkael has taken a hit," Hale said. "Coordinated drone strikes destroyed 2 outposts and scattered their fleet." Elena tapped the holomap. "We're making them bleed without firing a shot in open combat." Suddenly, alarms blared. "Unknown vessel detected," the officer called out. Hale's eyes sharpened. On screen, the display filled with a sleek, angular ship unlike anything Council fleets had seen. Fast, heavily armored, and pulsing with adaptive camouflage. "Classified as Terran prototype," Elena said quietly. "They think we're gone, but we're already inside their perimeter." The ship vanished from sensors again, then reappeared on the opposite side. Hale grinned. Unpredictability. Human style. Tensions in the Galactic Council reached a boiling point. At an emergency session, ambassadors exchanged accusations, warnings, and outright threats. Gordhack snarled, Earth is a rogue element. They threaten the balance of power. Chancellor Velith responded calmly. We underestimated them. We must reconsider our approach. Velith's words were a quiet admission that Earth was no longer just a new player. They were a catalyst for change, a force the Council could neither control nor contain. In a hidden laboratory on Aegis Prime, Dr. Sarai Chung studied the newly developed Earth fleet cloaking technologies. It's not just invisibility, she explained to Elena. It's dynamic adaptability. The system learns and anticipates enemy sensors. We're not just ghosts, we're ghosts that shift shape. Elena's eyes gleamed with pride. This is the future. Not just survival, but dominance. On our terms. The chapter closed on a high-stakes scene aboard the Resolute Bridge. Hale leaned over the tactical console, issuing orders. Prepare for counterstrike. If they want war, they'll get it. Elena stood at his side. Not war, she corrected. A lesson. The stars outside gleamed cold and distant, but humanity's spark burned brighter than ever. The void beyond the Galactic Council's capital, Viridian, shimmered with the tension of a coiled predator. The Council fleet, a sprawling armada of sleek cruisers and dreadnoughts, formed a near-impenetrable ring around the system. They had finally chosen to confront Earth's disappearance, not with words, but with overwhelming force. Inside the flagship eminence, Chancellor Velith paced the command deck. His mandibles clicked rhythmically as the latest intelligence reports streamed in. They're gone, Velith muttered. Vanished like shadows at dawn. No transponder, no signature, no trace. General Korthak, the Tlar warlord at his side, growled low. Human stealth is more than technology. It is their will. Their unpredictability. They will strike where we least expect. Velith's eyes flicked to a holomap showing scattered council systems slowly slipping from alliance to neutrality, even defecting. We underestimated their resilience and their cunning, he admitted. We must act swiftly, before the council fractures beyond repair. Meanwhile, in a hidden Earth fleet base on the dark side of Sol, Ambassador Elena Mbeki and Captain Marcus Hale stood before a digital war room pulsing with real-time data. Elena tapped a control panel, bringing up a 3D star chart of Council territories. The Council expects us to react, she said, but they do not yet understand how deeply we've prepared. Hale's grin was razor-sharp. Our fleet is dispersed in stealth formations across key choke points. We've disrupted their supply lines and communications for weeks. Their armada won't hold together when we hit. Sarai Chung, standing behind them, pointed at a cluster of systems colored red, Council worlds destabilizing from sabotage, economic collapse, and unrest. They rely on centralized control, Chung said. We've turned their bureaucracy against them. No wonder they call us unpredictable. Elena nodded. It's time to remind the galaxy why humans survived every extinction, every war, every crisis. Because when the stakes are highest, we don't just survive. We adapt, we evolve, and we fight. Back on Eminence, Velith's advisors clamored. Demand immediate ceasefire, urged one. Negotiate before irreparable damage. No, Velith said. We will end this on our terms. They want war? Then war they will have. He activated a secure channel to Earth. Ambassador Mbeki, his voice was cold steel. The Council demands Earth return to the table and surrender all territorial claims. Failure will mean open conflict. Elena's voice came back calm, defiant. Tell the Council this. Earth does not surrender. We invite them to visit a new table, one where humans are equals, not pawns. The first shots were fired near the Icarus Rift, a volatile region known for unpredictable solar flares. Council battlecruisers pursued a stealth squadron of Earth Fleet's newest fighters, fast, agile, and almost impossible to detect. Lieutenant Rizov, piloting one of the fighters, wove through asteroid debris and magnetic storms. Contact starboard, she called. A plasma bolt streaked past her cockpit. Return fire, Hale ordered from command. Earth Fleet fighters executed hit-and-run tactics, exploiting their cloaking tech and superior situational awareness. Council ships, burdened by size and rigid formations, struggled to adapt. A sudden explosion rocked the Council flagship Dominator. Critical damage to their main reactor, Hale reported. They didn't see us coming. News of the skirmish spread quickly across the galaxy, shaking Council confidence. Member worlds hesitated, questioning their loyalty. On Viridian, debates raged as diplomats and military leaders clashed. You underestimate Earth's spirit, a young delegate argued. Their resilience and unity are unmatched. A veteran ambassador replied, but their unpredictability is dangerous. We risk annihilation if we provoke them further. Chancellor Velith watched silently. He knew this war could destroy the Council, or transform it. Back on Aegis Prime, Elena received a classified message from a surprising source, the Zethary Collective, once Council's fiercest rivals. The message was simple but powerful. We support Earth's call for equality. The Council must reform or face extinction. Elena shared it with Hale and Chung. Allies where none were expected, Hale said with a smirk. Humans always make friends in the unlikeliest places. Amid the battle's chaos, Sarai's scientists completed a breakthrough, a new quantum communication network that allowed Earth fleet to coordinate across light years instantly, eliminating Council attempts to intercept or jam their messages. Elena looked out over the command center. This changes everything, she said. We're not just fighting from the shadows anymore. We control the battlefield. As the war escalated, a final confrontation unfolded near the Viridian system. The Council fleet prepared to crush Earth's hidden fleet once and for all. But instead of a frontal assault, Earth fleet deployed a daring strategy, a multi-vector assault with coordinated cyber attacks, drone swarms, and precision strikes on supply hubs. Council ships were overwhelmed by electronic warfare and internal sabotage. The Eminence itself suffered multiple breaches. Velith, cornered and desperate, sent a final transmission. Earth, you have proven yourselves. We seek peace. Elena smiled softly as she listened. We never stopped seeking peace, she replied. We only refuse to accept tyranny disguised as order. The Council agreed to new terms. Earth gained full membership, equal vote, and veto power in the Galactic Council. But more importantly, the balance of power had shifted. Humans were no longer outsiders or pawns. They were equals. As the story closed, Elena, Hale, and Chung stood on the observation deck of Aegis Prime, watching the stars. Elena spoke quietly. They thought withdrawing meant weakness. Hale laughed. Turns out it meant evolution. Chung nodded. And now, the galaxy will never be the same. The stars stretched infinitely, full of unknown possibilities. But one thing was certain. Humanity had earned its place among them. Not through submission, but through strength, resilience, and the indomitable human spirit.